which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. We'll start with the roll call. If everyone could introduce themselves, starting from my right.
Jane Simard, Business Administrator.
Michael Flynn, Superintendent.
Brenda Willis, School Board.
Michael Thiele, School Board Chair.
Jen Theroux, School Board Vice Chair.
Jenna Paradise, School Board Secretary.
Jamie Carreau, School Board.
Karen Rand, School Board.
Jason McLeod, School Board.
Anthony Henry, Pinkerton Academy Liaison.
Thank you, everyone. Before we get started tonight, I wanted to take a moment to recognize Tammy Lampus, our recording secretary. Tammy served in the position for the last 7 years. We accepted her resignation earlier in the year, and tonight is her last regular board meeting. Although she will still be serving in the position for every recording secretary's worst nightmare, the deliberative session. So, Tammy, thank you for your years of service in the position, for your professionalism, for your attention to detail, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you.
All right, our first order of business tonight will be the consent agenda. For tonight, we have the public hearing minutes of January 13th, 2026, the public meeting minutes of January 13th, 2026, and the manifest in the amount of $2,425,327.60, of which $1,190,118.64 is general payroll, and $1,234,933.96 is general expense. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
First by Jason, second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, next up, we have our guests from South Range Elementary School visiting us tonight. So, Mike, did you want to make an introduction?
You, Miss Cremoni?
Why don't you take over?
Thank you for having us. Tonight we will share with you how we start our morning meetings at South Range and our morning announcements with Miss Joseph and Miss Cremoni.
This helps start our day in a positive way. And as a school community, they start by welcoming us to school. We talk about birthdays for the day and do some sort of community building activity. We are going to share 2 examples with you. The first one is Would You Rather?
Would you rather have the strength of a bear or the speed of a cheetah? Miss Cremoni, Miss Joseph share their responses with us, and we also discuss it in a class. And sometimes once we have the answer, we type it in, and everybody else in the school gets to see it. Would any of you like to share their response to this Would You Rather?
Can you repeat that? It was the strength of a bear or a...
The strength of the bear or the speed of a cheetah.
Okay, definitely speed of the cheetah. Absolutely. Oh yeah, I could use the speed.
Same, yeah. Both Jen and I are runners, so we'll take the speed.
Same.
Why?
Ooh.
Why? I like to run for fun, and my goal is to always get faster. So I would really like to be as fast as a cheetah. Yeah.
And if you're not as strong, you can always outrun them.
Once a week, we do a Minute to Win It challenge on the morning announcements. Usually Miss Cremoni and another one of the teachers in the school go against each other for a trophy. And we do the Minute to Win It to bring everyone a positive start to our day. And this time, you guys are going to get to do one.
Oh boy.
You will be using your elbows to stack. You have 3 cups, and you'll be using your elbows to stack the cups in the way on the picture.
Elbows. Okay. All right, facing up. 30 seconds.
We all have the same picture.
3 cups
Do
facing.
they have to start like this, or can we start like this?
Taking the jacket off.
Grown-ups always make it more complicated. That's right, you're gonna
Wait, facing up.
Separate them.
Okay.
Facing up.
Facing.
Yes, facing up. Guys, read the directions.
That makes it harder.
Yeah, that's the point.
Oh, can we start?
It's not time yet.
The timer is started. Now.
Oh my God.
This is not going well.
I know, right? We're on television, looking pretty silly. Oh. Oh, you got it? Yeah. Jamie got it. Jen got it. Jamie got it. Yeah, it's that cheetah thing. And also graceful. I'm about as graceful as a hippo, so
I'm sweating.
you're not. I didn't win. I'm still trying. I dropped my cups.
We might have won over 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not very coordinated.
I think Jen won.
I'm not.
Jen,
I'm
Jamie? I
done.
didn't see it over there.
Jamie
won?
Jamie got
Nice
it.
work.
Jamie got it too. We could arm wrestle now.
It's a long 30 seconds.
Oh, you get the trophy for the meeting. Oh, man. Good job, Jamie.
Wow. This is,
Look at that.
thank you.
Minute to win it challenge.
After the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, Miss Carmoni and Miss Joseph always ends by saying something positive, like hard work today, do your best, or do something better than be better today than yesterday. Then we get started on our morning meetings.
During morning meeting, we do a greeting, have a morning message from our teacher, do lift ups, and share. Tonight, we would like to do the greeting and lift up portion of our meeting. Please come over here and circle up with us.
So if we can make a circle around this middle piece,
Okay.
for you to join us for that greeting.
More interaction.
I know, right? You know, I'm getting exercise tonight. I don't think you need your suit jacket for this.
Who's starting us off?
The greeting is done so that everyone feels welcome and seen, so we can be ready to start the day. Good morning, Olive. Good evening.
Good evening, Lenora. Good evening, Connor. Good evening, Olive. Good evening, Rowan. Good evening, Connor. Good evening, Nathan.
Good evening, Rowan. Good evening, Aria.
Good evening, Nathan. Good evening, Mr. Henry.
Thank you. What was your name? Good evening, Aria. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Henry. Anthony. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Jason. Good evening, Jenna.
Good evening, Michael. Good evening, Jen.
Good evening, Jenna. Good evening, Karen.
Good evening, Jennifer. Good evening, Jamie.
Good evening, Karen. Good evening, Jane. Good evening, Jamie. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Jane. And good evening, Brenda.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening, Mrs. Carmoni.
Good evening, Mrs. Willis. Good evening, Justin.
Good evening, Mrs. Gramoni. Good evening, everybody. After the greeting, we do lift-ups. Lift-ups are to recognize someone for something and make a positive impact on them. I would like to lift up my mom for bringing me to Sky Zone with my cousins.
I would like to lift up all of you for supporting our schools.
I would like to lift up my Nana for taking me and my family on vacation every year.
I would like to lift up everybody in the circle for being here.
I'd like to lift up Miss Carmoni and Miss Joseph for making my everyday better. I would like to lift up my mom, my older brother, and my dad for taking care of me while I was sick.
I'd like to lift up my dad and my grandpa for paying for my sports.
I'd like to lift up my friend Tristan for buying me lunch today.
I'd like to lift up all of you guys for such an awesome, fun, and engaging presentation.
I'd like to lift up all of my fellow board members for all their hard work this year.
I'd like to lift up Ms. Lampus back there on her last day as our secretary.
I'd like to lift up my kids, Lily, Gracie, and Ben, who are watching at home right now.
I'd like to lift up all those custodians at our school who took care of all of this snow and are going to do it again next week.
I'd like to lift up Jason because he's not going to be with us for much longer, and thank you for all the hard work you did over the last few years.
I'd like to lift up the town tech department for bringing us a great meeting every 2 weeks.
I'd like to lift up all the bus drivers trying to handle those roads out there while delivering the children safely to school.
It's really hard to be last. I want to lift up all of you because it takes a lot to come to a board meeting and speak, and you've done a great job.
I would also like to lift all of you up for your courageous time coming here, being so brave and getting up here. I know they were a little nerve-wracked. Some of them were out sick all week last week. So they did a great job with that, and our entire school community for starting their day off on a positive note.
Does anybody in the audience want to do a lift up?
One second, kiddo.
I'm going to lift up Miss Joseph. So she's a new AP in our district, and it's been a pleasure to work with her.
I would like to lift up my family for taking care of me.
Brave souls.
Yes.
I'd like to lift up all of the wonderful plow drivers in Derry that have been dealing with this mess.
I like to lift up my family.
Any questions?
I think you've done an outstanding job. You're probably leaving us all speechless, honestly. Great job. And I know this has been some heavy lifting this year in regards to the teachers and kind of training some new ways of doing things, but I think you guys are showing a reward of what we're trying to do for everyone. Excellent, excellent job.
Thank you.
We do just need to take a quick picture of Mrs. Carreau with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, you get a picture with your
I'd like to thank all you guys for coming, and we'll actually take a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
I wish I lost.
How do you not feel good?
Nope.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're ready to resume the meeting. Our next item is going to be a mid-year review of our board goals, and then Mike will follow with a review of the superintendent goals. If you'll recall, back at our August 26th meeting, we set 6 goals for the board to work toward this year. The last few years have been dominated by a handful of major issues, namely the restructuring plan, getting funding for improving our facilities, and we've had quite a bit of turnover. We've welcomed 4 new board members in the last 15 months, and about 7 months ago, we welcomed a new superintendent. So it's been a great year to establish new norms and practices. So we set broad goals with the hopes of getting more granular in the future. So I think it's been a huge positive to have someone like Mike come in who can look at our operations with a new, unbiased set of eyes. And I think we've made some good progress so far over the last several months. So to dive into the goals, we set 6 for this year, primarily revolving around the work of our 5 core standing committees. So the first goal, targeted communication. The school board, through the superintendent and the communications committee, shall develop a plan for communication of the board and district's goals, initiatives, budgets, and projects. This plan should encourage a unified message across the district and should utilize multiple ways to reach the community, including the district website, email, social media, and in-person events. I think we've seen some good results here. This is the first year we've had a communications committee, so it was formed out of the need to have consistent messaging coming from the board and from the district. The committee developed a regular newsletter from the board to keep the community informed of our work. We've seen 2 issues of that so far, and there's been good progress with fine-tuning it. The committee's also done quite a bit of work to brainstorm and coordinate communication efforts with the administration, and they've been able to put that into action. The second goal, targeted curriculum and assessment. The school board, through the superintendent and the curriculum committee, shall create a regular schedule for review of curriculum materials used in each subject area and grade level and facilitate the creation of materials to educate the public on learning expectations and the measurement of student progress. I think there's been some progress made on this goal. I think Mike's going to be mentioning the curriculum review cycle in his goals, and I think we'll gradually have the results of that coming before the committee. There's also been collaboration on producing public-facing curriculum materials, and I hope as we come to a standard for these, the curriculum department can start churning those out so we can start building an easy-to-understand database for the community. The third goal, targeted facilities. The school board, through the superintendent and the facilities committee, shall continue the focus on communication of the progress of the bond-funded projects, facilitate the development of a schedule for anticipated future capital improvements, and develop a plan to fund a capital reserve for those improvements. So this is somewhere where I think we've seen some real tangible results. Information on the ongoing bond projects has been going out, and I think Jason in particular, as the committee chair, has done a great job of communicating that progress in these meetings. For future capital improvements, we're bringing 2 warrant articles to the vote this year. One, to start building a rolling capital reserve so we can keep pace with needed facilities work, and another to dedicate the interest revenue that the bond has been earning back toward facilities projects. The fourth goal, targeted finance. The school board, through the superintendent and the finance committee, shall develop a transparent, easy-to-understand process for creating the district's annual budget. I think working with Mike this year, he brought an approach to the budget that maybe seemed a little alien to those of us who have been involved in this process here in Derry. I'm personally really happy with how things went this year. I think we have lots to build on. I think we know where we need to improve the process for next year. We need to better establish everyone's role in the process, that being the superintendent, the board, and the fiscal advisory committee. And I think, too, as we move forward, Mike's going to get a few budget cycles under his belt. We'll really be able to establish norms, make budgeting more predictable, at least as far as it can be. The fifth goal, targeted policy. The school board, through the superintendent and the policy review committee, shall review and update the district's policy manual to match current laws and practices and explore options for creating an online policy database. The policy committee has been meeting at a regular cadence. They've been bringing 3 to 5 policies to nearly every board meeting. There's obviously lots of work still to do here. Creating policy is a primary function of the board, and there are a lot of policies. But most importantly, we've established a process that ensures we're making progress. The sixth goal was specific to the Derry Village School. The board shall create an advisory committee made up of board members, district staff, and community members, and task it with exploring all options for the Derry Village School property, building and its contents, and making a recommendation to the school board. This is, of course, a very specific goal, and I'd say we've met it. The advisory committee was created in the fall, it completed its work, and the board has moved forward on its recommendation, which was to sell the SAU office building and relocate the SAU staff to the Derry Village building. So the SAU staff will be relocating later this year, and we'll have a warrant article coming before voters to authorize the sale of the SAU building once it's been vacated. So I think we've made some solid progress since these goals were set 5 months ago. I think we're set up to see things ramp up even more before the year is out. And I'll open it up to everyone else for any comments on how we're doing on our goals.
I'm excited about our progress. I actually like the fact that we're even having a mid-year check-in right now, because I think it's keeping us honest about our progress, about where we're heading. I'll reiterate what you just said, Michael. I appreciate that Mike's come on, created new pathways for this work to get done, and that we're holding ourselves accountable to getting it done. Yeah, I'm really pleased with what's been going on, so.
Anyone else?
You guys all said it.
Well, with that, I'll pass it over to Mike, and he can address the superintendent goals.
Thanks, everybody. In your packet, it came in hot off the wire. If you have paper, it's not there. Did it make it in? Great. So I took a little bit of a different approach, rather going down goal by goal. I approach it by the buckets. I call it buckets since the beginning. So under the communication, curriculum, facilities, finance, I kind of just put a couple bullet points for you to see where we are, what we've implemented. It's always challenging for me because mid-year, we got a long way to go in my eyes. So some of these are just touch points, with communication and community engagement. I feel like we've really turned the corner on that, trying to establish new practices, both at the building level, which was very important when we started, but then through the district level. And we'll navigate that a little bit more this evening when we talk about making our way towards deliberative as well as the ballot. In regards to curriculum instruction, it's not tangible evidence. It's the hardest one to show what's going on because most of it's happening behind the scenes. But that team's working very hard and diligent, more specifically on the curriculum documents, with the new ELA program, the CARES, which you saw this evening. But you're going to start to see some forward-facing documents for the community. That's a big goal, and we're definitely going to emphasize that towards the end. Facilities and long-term planning, it's kind of a wheelhouse for me that I'm excited about. Michael, I want to say stole my thunder, but I already mentioned that the 2 warrant articles are pretty big that we're moving forward to reestablishing the capital reserve and understanding where that money is going to go. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But as I've said since we began, it's creating predictability for the community, right? So for all stakeholders involved. In the finance world, I'd say that we implemented a little bit more clear of a structure through the budgeting process. We strengthened the alignment between the financial planning and our goals and objectives. Remember, we don't want to have spikes and then downs and lulls. We want to have a predictability as we're moving across. So I think we did a good job there. Policy, that's a tangible one. As Michael mentioned, we've been doing a very good job at that committee. Interestingly, we had a few new ones pop up in regards to whether it was AI. So we have a couple of new ones coming down the pike. I think policy's done a good job of reviewing what may have been outdated. You'll see a couple of those tonight, but also moving forward and reaffirming some of the work that you guys have done previously. Dairy Village, I want to simply put a check. I think the committee did a great job, really invested their time and energy into what's best long-term for the community. And I'm also proud that the committee made a recommendation and the board stood behind the work. That's a big deal. So that work's underway. And then one that's not in the board goals but was more assigned to me, it's monitoring, accountability, and leadership. So really trying to develop some processes as anyone that's watching that works here now, staying in your lane, making sure you're great at what your role is, not trying to dabble in everyone else's roles. So that starts with weekly leadership meetings, regular principal meetings, regular assistant principal meetings. We had our mid-year check-ins this week and next week, so every administrator works their way through my office for a touch point, and then ongoing communication and accountability systems. It's very important. So we got a long way to go in my eyes, but I feel like we're starting to make progress. I think Jane said it to me, it feels like I've been here forever. I took that as a compliment. But that means some of the work is really starting to turn a corner, and the practices that we're trying to develop are starting to lock in. So if you have more questions or comments, I appreciate it. This is an ongoing thing, right? The evaluation of the superintendent isn't just every 6 months or 7 months.
It is weekly. So feel free, but I gave high-level stuff. Questions or comments?
I would say you sort of addressed it, but I think something we've tried really hard to establish this year is what is the role of the superintendent and what is the role of the school board, and really defining what those roles are supposed to be and sticking to it. And, we really appreciate the leadership that you're providing on the superintendent end. We hire you to be the CEO of our district, to run the everyday operations, and we think you've been doing a fantastic job at it. And that has also kind of allowed us to do what the board is supposed to do.
Thank you.
One of the things I'd like to say is I know people that watch this meeting for a long time, years upon years, and the teachers in the district who have been involved on the day-to-day level of the functioning of the district. It can be difficult sometimes to hang in there through change, right? And Mike, from what I've seen, the work you've been doing and the pathways you've been laying down, we're developing a lot of very positive momentum. And I really hope that that continues to be the direction that we head in. And I know hanging in there through that change and some of the things that we've been probably asking teachers to do has maybe not been an easy thing. And so I'd like to just thank the teachers in the district for hanging in there through that and continuing to hang in there through that, because we've set these goals and we want to hold ourselves accountable to those goals as a board and to hold Mike accountable to those goals as a superintendent. But I can't reiterate enough that the work that's happening every day in the classroom is just so important to the district and to the health of the health of the district and the health of our community. So I'd like to underline that.
All right, if we've got no further comments, we'll move on.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I look forward to the end of your report. More in depth.
All right, the next item will be delegations and individuals. At this time, residents of Derry, parents of currently enrolled Derry students, and employees of the district may address the school board on matters that pertain only to school and district business for a period of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. As a reminder, the board welcomes input from the community. However, questions will not be entertained during this session. If you would like to speak, please come up to the microphone at this time and state your name and address for the record. Not seeing anyone approaching the microphone, so we'll move on with the meeting. However, the public comment period will remain open until 7:31 p.m. If you wish to speak prior to that time, approach the microphone and I'll recognize you at the next break in the agenda. Our next item is student member updates. We have Anthony with his Pinkerton Academy update.
Good evening. This will be a really short one because the first day of the semester was today. We had Monday off, not because of the storm actually, but because teachers needed a day just to plan for the new semester. So yeah, we started today. New classes began today. Report cards will be out this Friday, which will feature grades from last semester plus midterm exam grades. Couple events, one event. The Student Council Winter Dance will be February 7th, so ticket sales should be, I believe, coming soon. And lastly, the 2026 through 27 calendar is now available, so if you want to check that out, it is on the school website. That is all.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Any questions? All right, we will move on. Moshe is not here tonight, so no next update. We also have nothing to deliberate tonight, so we will move on to Jane with her business administrator's update.
Okay, I have included in the update a financial report with sort of a summary on the cover page of what we have for activity. We have not yet, we're waiting actually for the Pinkerton large bill for the general tuition. I expect that to come within the next few days. We've already received the resource bill and some supplementary special education invoices that we received today. So as soon as we get that, we'll update you in the next month's budget report. We have encumbered all staff salaries and benefits and all contracted services. And again, I just kind of keep us focused on our special education. Laura Powers and I know Mike looks at this. We all look at this often to make sure that where we are is relative to the budget. And when you do look through some of your expenditures, it's going to be very similar to when we're looking at our 26-27 budget, where contracted services have increased, and that's due to not being able to fill certain positions. And they're typically service providers that are very specialized, psychologists, speech language, occupational therapists, positions like that. And so we see the same thing in this current year as in the past several years. So David Clapp, who's our district treasurer, also keeps us informed on the interest that we're earning, which is really interesting. So our general fund is to date $95,765, and the facilities bond account, the interest on that to date has earned a little over $346,000. And I did put an attachment, and we talked about that in our finance committee, and Jenna wanted to make sure that we had an update, and the way I presented it before was broken down by project. This is it's more of a summary so that you can see each project, how much we've paid to date, what the contract amount was, and where we are. So several of our projects have already been completed. For example, the West Running Brook roof has been completed, Gilbert H. Hood's roof's been completed, the repair to the chimney at Grinnell, the roof replacement at Grinnell, the concrete banding at West Running Brook has been completed, and the roof drains over at West Running Brook have been completed. The costs that you're going to start seeing now are more soft cost as well as construction management. So you're going to start seeing engineering costs and costs for Jobin to manage the projects as we're moving along. I know that right now we're in the bidding stages of the South Range exterior project. And actually, I believe the bids will be coming in the 29th of this month. So those are the expenses really that you're going to see from now until the spring. And I will keep updating this every month. I think it's a good review for people. And otherwise, there's a report in there for expenditures, and there is a report in there for revenues. And aside from that, just letting you know that our free and reduced numbers haven't really changed much. The percentage, we had about 21.27% of free and reduced students in our district. And we have recently completed our school budget form, the MS-26, that has been posted. I know it's posted at West, it's in our office, and it's here at the town hall, as well as the default budget for 26-27. Those have all been posted as required. Any questions?
I do have a question. I was looking at the update in regards to the special education funds and the contracted services. I mean, obviously, I understand at the core level that it is required. These numbers, though, with being this far over the budget consistently, are concerning. And I'm wondering, are other districts in the same position that we are, that they're contracting out, or have other districts been able to hire? What is it that we are we not dangling a fat enough carrot out there? Are there just not, what are the things that are happening here that we can't bring this in? Because to consistently contract out, obviously, to be this much over budget every year is going to bite us in the backside.
Sure. And I'm sure Mike can speak to his experience with Hopkinton and his other districts. In my experience talking to other business administrators, we have a South Central meeting, and we meet with other people in my position every month, and these are things that come up for all of us. There is no pool for school psychologists. There's no pool for speech pathologists. A lot of them are joining agencies, and they're just making more money. And it's the same thing for all of us. Nobody has mentioned that they have a bigger carrot to dangle. Obviously, we're all trying to be competitive to see who we can get, but pretty much everybody is going contracted instead of joining as an employee, and it's very difficult to find them.
Yeah, the landscape's just changed, and it's changed rapidly probably within the last 5 years. The same positions that are open here are the same that were open in Hopkinton for me. School psych is nearly, the salary is almost, I don't want to say twice as much, but almost twice as much to go through their service provider, and they're going to do the same job. Speech is even more increased. So when we talk about how we're going to combat it, it is a discussion at the state level because these services are required, non-negotiable, but the employees, gone are the days that you want to work 180 days in the school year because you can go through a service, still work 180 days, and then you're picking up a different caseload in the summer. So it is a strictly, I mean, I'm not going on a limb, but it is a strictly financial challenge because we're competing with the market now. You're competing with the outside market in regards to an internal position.
So is this something that we need to then put this buffer into our budget? Because to be over budget in comparison, so do we have to put that in there in anticipation? I mean, I know it's kind of a gamble because we don't know who moves into the district. We don't know who moves out. Do we have to set aside, like maybe, talking about contingency funds of maintenance projects, should we be setting up a contingency fund for special ed so that we are not hundreds of thousands of dollars over budget every year for something that we can kind of anticipate and yet not?
Sure. So the challenge is it's a bottom line budget. So even though the salary for school psych won't be used, that money goes towards the contracted service. But the gap that you're seeing, the challenge is, and actually it's one of the things that Jane and I talked about as we were lowering our budget, is trying to find that fine line of understanding that it is a position that exists versus we know we're never going to fill it and we need to budget. So it would take some shifting that we talked about on a reduction from one line to the next. It sounds crazy when it's all the same money, but it's all the same money. And then the real challenge is how do you compete with the real world? And it would be really intriguing because some of these positions currently exist in a collective bargaining agreement. And so that's the other one is school nursing. It's harder to find school nurses because you're making more money on the outside. Those are things that we have to take the proactive approach to. The core of your question is, we do evaluate that on whether it goes, if that money moves over to contracted service versus where it stays. At the end of the day, we're over budget. It's also taking from what's not being filled.
That's correct.
Okay.
And as far as trying to recruit, I know that in the past years, they've gone to job fairs at the university, at UNH, Plymouth, Riviere, and I know that Paula is going to be going to several. I saw that she's got them on her schedule to go out and do them, but they're almost not as many coming out of the programs. So there's not much of a pool to get. So it's everybody.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and obviously you're going to keep those positions in the budget because if you could find somebody to do them, you could hire
Helps everybody.
Second.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to address too, going back to South Range, is when you talk about the soft costs that we're incurring, that has to do with the fact that there are 3 major projects that are going to take place at that school, and they're all intertwined. So there's a lot of architectural drawings and investigations that are having to be done to figure out exactly what needs to be done, how these 3 projects are going to be coordinated. So those are the expenses that we're incurring right now and kind of the off season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back to Jenna's point, I recently presented at a conference in Washington, D.C., and it's also a time where you get to meet what other districts are doing nationwide. And I got in touch with a company, and I explained almost exactly the scenario you're talking about is, here's the cost for this versus what an employee is. So they have some solutions that they think they're able to provide, long-term solutions. So Laura, Christina, and Kristen in the special ed world met with them recently. So we're kind of trying to be proactive instead of just always saying too bad. So that works out. I think that one could lead to some successes. Yep.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
All right, if we have no more questions for Jane, we'll move on to Mike with the superintendent update.
Thanks, Mike. So first, in your packet is a draft of the 26-27 school year. I think previously that you would just have it and vote on it, but I wanted to make sure that everyone had a look on it first. In my previous district, I always do a first read, take feedback from the board. It's in DEA's hands now. Ask me, administration. Being new to the district, it's funny you mentioned a couple budget cycles. A couple school calendar cycles is going to be beneficial as well, because as soon as you feel good about something, all of a sudden you're planning for next year. So in your packet is a draft. Essentially, we made a couple changes coming into this year. If I remember briefly talking to Joe, I think I was hired. I had to have been, and we had success with the teacher workshop day mirroring Columbus Day weekend. And then we made a couple other changes to the beginning of the school year. So nothing more than a draft, and looking for feedback if you took time before.
So I hear from a lot of parents that have difficulty with early release, teacher workshop days, childcare, those kind of things. Is it, and I'm not sure how much work really is able to be done in an early release day,
Sure.
because they have a very limited amount of time. Is there a benefit to reducing the number of early release days and blending them in a teacher workshop day? So take 6 early release days and turn them into 3 full-day trainings instead?
Yeah, this is going to sound like a bad answer, and it's not intended. I've just been taking what we've done, which is the sentence I hate the most when people are talking to me. So that's great feedback. In Hampstead and in Hopkinton, we ended up reducing the amount of early release days specifically around family challenges. That would have to be something I think I would have to talk to the memberships about in regards to, because we still have to make sure we're hitting their number on days and the student members' days. But I can certainly bring that back and kick it around for sure. Has it ever happened before? Anyone recall?
Oh, I might. We've had a lot of different scenarios.
Okay.
Early release, teacher workshop days.
Oh, early, yeah. Delayed
front
openings, does
load.
that ever come around? And we no?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Not a good idea. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right.
Days in the beginning of the year, days
Yeah.
at the end of the year. I'm not sure at the end of the year is really beneficial, but I don't know that. So anyway, just thought I'd throw it out there.
Perfect.
I mean, I tend to agree. You look at the calendar, between the first and last student days, there's 3 workshop days, 6 early releases, and a half day. And, that's a big impact for, a lot of families to have to, worry about that number of days where you're having to coordinate doing something different. So, I would agree if there's any way we
Sure.
can consolidate or, cut down on those number of times that, families are having to look for alternatives.
To your point, Brenda, it's hard for me as a parent in the district not to open up the board packet and think of myself as a parent. And the first thing I did when I saw the school calendar was look at the early release days to see if we had any. I was like, oh man, there's like 6 of them. So there's that piece of it. On the flip side, and you spoke to this a bit, Mike, was, what's the utility of this? Is this useful? Are we using this time meaningfully? What do teachers think of this time? Do they feel it's being used meaningfully? I'd be interested in that feedback as well, which is what you spoke to. But yeah, I would agree with you, Brenda. Like I've heard that as well, that it's a difficult thing to do. It comes up once a month, pretty much.
Well, and if you look at the months that we have days off, like November, I know November can't really be dealt with because we have the conference day, but December so we're off in November, at the end of November, then we have an early release the second week in December, and then we have vacation. So, just the juggle of families who are going to work, I think, if we can help them, even if it's
Sure.
not this year, if we can look at it for next year, we can make it work.
Yeah,
a little
and
bit
the one
better.
thing I want to emphasize is moving the work forward and having opportunities to do so. So condensing them sounds good for me. Eliminating them makes me worried, right? Eliminating them without supplanting them with opportunity to do the work, because there is great value on our side in our profession being kid-free at certain points while during the day. But I can certainly discuss with administration and DEA in regards to how do we maybe look at different a little bit.
I think this is good where we're getting this calendar. It'll be 2 weeks now, for you to take a closer look at it. Maybe you can come up with something. I agree where that, you want to make sure that you're looking at the utility of these days and that you're still able to get done what you want to get done in that time.
Sure. Yeah, and maybe not we have 2 meetings in February, so we have plenty of time to do some work amongst my group. So I will take that back. Yeah. Everyone okay with the start time? August, everyone good? Labor Day is really late that year. I don't know if you noticed, so trying to get some days in before is good. Okay, thank you for that. All right, next in your packet, let's go with the one-pagers. This is something I talked when I first came on about trying to create short, condensed information for the community. More specifically, there's been misinformation going around in regards to Article 3 and Article 4 and the use of funds and what it would be allocated for. So let's start with your Article 3 one-pager, and this is all going to go live after the meeting tonight. Always want an opportunity to present. I want to reiterate that the $500,000 that we're requesting from fund balance is no new taxes, right? So that's already funds that were raised and appropriated, and that we would then transfer it into the capital reserve and maintenance trust fund, which has already existed. Now, I think the challenge is, or people have been making a couple of leaps on where that money is going to go. So what I've done is I worked with Jeremy to create a priority list of maintenance projects that we're going to start to develop when you see the full 10-year CIP plan that will come out before the end of this year. So you'll see in there things like the loading dock replacement, old main entrance stair replacement, flooring. We need so much flooring in all of our facilities. That's why we just put it as multiple buildings. Bleacher seat replacement, stairwell painting, folding wall, tactile safety pads. That's when you're coming up on the curb and the bumps. That's for people who with disabilities know that there's an incline. Playground fencing. These are all things that I've said that the bond has done a phenomenal job of addressing. Roofs, windows, doors, right? We need to start preparing and targeting the inside approach. So those are some of those things. The key takeaways: no tax increase, safety, facility preservation, allows flexibility to address urgent needs. So I'm going to say this is a live document. Tomorrow, we actually just had a boiler go down. Like a boiler could go down, and then that gets supplanted by this. So I don't want anyone to make any leaps or bounds of where the money's going. It's pretty specific that when you draw up this warrant article and it's raised, it has to go towards capital improvement. You can't go and buy, I always make a joke, like a brand new bus. That's not what the purpose is. The purpose is for what will live in that CIP article. The one-pager for Article 4.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Sure.
What is the office kiosk removal and renovation?
Yeah, so at East Derry, the way that it's fallen, this was told to me today, so take it with a grain of salt. The challenges for the entrance of where the employees are versus where the employees behind the glass are versus the employees where they walk in versus the staff and family. So it needs a little bit of a redesign in order to make it more efficient.
Okay.
Any other questions on Article 3 while we're doing that? Okay, great. So Article 4 one-pager, again, there's been some misinformation out there in regards to what it can be used for and the purpose of it. So as Jane mentioned, where the current balance is on the bond, you are allowed to ask the voters to use that interest to reinvest that only specifically into bond-related projects. So whether it was communicated in the actual bond, which I'll explain tonight, or whether it was actually eliminated in one of the previous bond votes. But as long as it's on record and you can show that it was discussed at a meeting or in a proposal, you're allowed to use the interest as described. So what we're dealing with currently in facilities is what's happening at South Range, right? We are uncovering that what we thought is not accurate, and that we will need some more funding for that. So in this one pager, you'll see that more specifically, they're talking about the load and the pitch of the roof. So that $700,000 in interest is going to be basically reinvested right back into South Range right now. Jeremy brought forward, it's on my desk, that doesn't help, but he brought forward, he brought forward specifically, basically a long list of everything that was discussed in the previous bond votes or discussions, and specifically at South Range, the fire alarms. Does that ring a bell to anyone? Fire alarms continually were discussed. So that's something that the interest can go to, is upgrading. And now again, as Jeremy said, they are all working, they are all into code, but it's due for an upgrade. So the interest can be used for something like that. I think the other thing he talked about in specifically South Range is he uses the word millwork, but I want to say the cabinets and the countertops, things like that. That's been talked about in the bond. So this interest would be allowed to be applied to those things. So this kind of helps in that one pager. Again, this will go live. We're going to link it to the budget website so that if people have questions, or maybe they're hearing some information that doesn't feel right, you can certainly direct them to these one pagers, as it continues to redirect the purpose and specifically how the articles are written. They cannot be used for anything else. They're not going to DVS. They're not going to the new SAU. They are specifically tied to what's put in this project and what's put into the bond. So any questions on Article 4? Great. All right, so Jane and Laura are also working on what we've been calling this, the frequently asked questions through the budgeting. That's going to go live. We'll link this document to that document. And then we're going to have some special education documents that are going out. Clifton's working on creating podcasts around both of the documents so that if you don't want to read, you can listen. We're just going to try and inform everyone as much as we can before they get to deliberative, and then more importantly, when they get to the ballot. All right, questions on that? I think I checked.
I would just say before you move on,
Sure.
that this is great work. This is the kind of stuff that we would like to expect. Thank you for putting all these documents together. This is what we talk about when we talk about a coordinated message, right? We're all on the same page. We have documents to circulate. We can confidently answer questions when they come up in the community, and we cut down on that confusion that sometimes happen, especially on social media. So
sure,
this is excellent. Great work.
Next meeting. Okay. She was telling me that I should mention something, but we're going to wait because it's not relevant to this one. So cliffhanger. So you guys can wait till the next one.
Stay tuned.
My last update out of our office is I'm excited to say that the Start Time Committee has done excellent work, same as DVS. The committee spent several weeks, and they've moved forward a report to me. It's on my desk. That's about all the update I'm giving right now. It's up to me to digest and work on the next steps, but it is now out of their hands, and it's into, as I say, my job. So I'm going to be working with parties to start some discussions, and then we should have information for the community at the next meeting, more than likely, and we'll go from there. But I want to thank the committee, the families, the parents who are involved, some stakeholders that have students at Pinkerton, the membership. Everyone did an outstanding job. Again, if I could emphasize anything from a mid-year quote-unquote check-in, I think is the committee work. And I know you kind of alluded to, like, what's my job, what's the board's job. I think the board has just done an amazing job at the committee level. A lot of hours, and now we've really established a new norm, and we went pretty hard pretty quickly there on the time and effort, but now we've established a baseline of a cadence of how often. Is it too much, is it too little? But these committees have taken everything serious, and it's really produced the warrant articles, it's produced the facilities, what we have going on in the summer and the coordination, but also our administrative team who is working with you guys at the committee level. They're really starting to see what their role is and what the board's role is. So this Start Time Committee is another example of that. So I look forward to sharing that information as we navigate the next couple of weeks. So, one last thing. Karen, you kind of alluded to it at the lift-ups, but I don't want to say I don't think people understand, but I'm going to say I don't know how well people understand how much time and effort goes into clearing campuses for schools. A lot of us are told not to come to the building so that the other people can do their jobs. So not just the custodians, but the plowing that the maintenance does. I think we're going to have to ship out some snow, honestly, if that next storm's coming in because of the snowbanks and the safety of people pulling in and out. But they were plowing Monday 10, 11 hours till we told them to go home, get rest, and come back early to make sure that we were able to open for the kids and the students. So, and then the kitchen staff. Remember, even though we're on a delayed opening, most times they're not. They're in here making breakfasts for kids so that when they walk in, they're ready to roll. So the custodial, the maintenance, and the kitchen staff, while we enjoy our 2-hour delays, they don't. So if it's not for them, it'd be a whole nother day out. So thank you to all of them.
Okay, lift up.
Yeah, that's a good one. So with that, that's Superintendent's report for this evening.
All right, thank you, Mike. Do you have any last questions? All right, not hearing any, so we will move on to our next item, which is committee reports. So we've had 3 committees meet since the last board meeting. We'll start with Mike, who has some first reads from the policy committee.
Yeah, exciting policies coming forward. You'll notice with therapy animals in school, if you go down to number 9, there was a, I call it a minor change. It looks longer, but essentially what was happening is we've had a lot of success with the animals, but the animals were, essentially you can only have it in one spot. So with the discussion with the administrative team and the handlers, they were asking that the therapy animal be able to move about the building more freely. So we worked through that. You'll see that in number 9. Policy BBAA, board member authority. We reviewed that. It was last reviewed in 2014. We thought that it was time to bring it up to date with the New Hampshire School Board Association's language, so you'll see that. That one was easy. And then, administration and policy absence. I was running into a few challenges here, trying not to break policy. This allows, this language mirrors what should be done through NHSBA in the regard, if there's an absence of a policy, who has the authority to do so, which should be me. Because I'm dealing with these hourly on some of the decisions that I have to make. So this just reaffirms the policy so that it's not being broken, but also keeps the board where it's supposed to be. So first read, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Those were all passed unanimously from committee level to the board.
All right, thanks, Mike. So we'll have those policies come up for a second read and a vote at our next meeting on February 10th. Next up, we have Jen with an update from the Curriculum and Assessment Committee.
The Curriculum Committee last met on Thursday, January 15th. That was the first meeting of the new year. At that time, the board was able to provide feedback on the public-facing guides that Kim Conant and her team have developed, which is part of the school board's goals, educating the public and educating the community about what's being taught at each grade level. So as a reminder, the goal over time is really to have every grade level and content area have these guides posted on the SAU website so that parents and community members have a better understanding of grade level expectations, what's being taught at each grade level, and how to support students at home in a given grade level. The majority of our conversation during that committee time was to provide that feedback, and it was generally very positive. The guides in general are supposed to be user-friendly and accessible to anybody, any parent in the community of any educational and professional background. So really user-friendly guides. The example that Kim brought forth was from the 8th grade English language arts curriculum, but eventually these will be developed for every content area and every grade level. So thank you to Kim and her team for getting that process underway. As we go through this process, the focus is going to be on ELA, English Language Arts, and math, those being the 2 main subjects, and then eventually they'll be developed for content areas like science and social studies as well. Our next meeting is being held on February 5th at the SAU office, 10 a.m. At that time, we're going to be reviewing logical sequencing. You can look at the SAU website in a few days. There should be an agenda posted for that. I think that's it.
Thank you, Jen. Anybody have any questions? All right, we will move on to Jamie, who has an update from the Communications Committee.
Okay, so for communications, we released our second newsletter on January 8th, and it contained a nice little video from the chair. And that one, we took into consideration feedback we had received from the first newsletter, and we tried to make this one, we listened to all the feedback and tried to make this one a little better. It largely talked about the budget and the budgeting process. And so that came out. You can go to the website, the district website, to read the second newsletter. And then we had a meeting last week, and we discussed the next newsletter. We figured out when that one was going to come out and what it should contain. And that's about it.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. Anybody have any questions? We'll move on. The next item is FYIs and member updates. I have a few reminders surrounding the election. First up, there will be 2 board seats on the ballot. The filing period opened last week and will close this Friday at 5 p.m. If you're interested in running, you must be a Derry resident and a registered voter. Applications must be submitted in person to the town clerk here at the Municipal Center between the hours of 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. The deliberative session will be held on Saturday, February 7th, 10 a.m. in the gymnasium at West Running Brook Intermediate School. The last day to register to vote for participation at the deliberative session was last Tuesday. There is no day of voter registration at the deliberative session, so if you are not registered to vote as of now, you can attend as an observer, but you will not be able to participate. The deliberative session is every bit, if not more important than the voting session in March. This is where the community has the opportunity to shape what gets voted on in March. Turnout is chronically low. I know it's a busy time of year. Saturday mornings are busy. But if public education is important to you and you're able to attend, please come out and participate. Following the deliberative session, the voting session will be Tuesday, March 10th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the Hackler Gymnasium at Pinkerton Academy. Anyone else have any updates?
I do. Sorry. Mr. Tripp would be disappointed in me. I just wanted to let you know, last week, Jamie and I were able to attend the next open house, and they did their ribbon cutting ceremony for their new expansion into Next Charter School. It's a lovely space. They have their certificate of occupancy and are going to start utilizing the space soon. They're still waiting on a few other things in regards to the elevator and I believe the bathroom, but we were able to get a full tour. The kids are very excited to use their space, and so I look forward to going in there next time to see some of the furniture and to make it look a little bit more homey. And also, I was able to attend a coffee with the board last week, which is something that Next Hope hosts once or twice a month. And it's just a chance for some of the Next kids to come in and sit with members of the Next Charter School Board. This time it was myself and Jen Legue. And we just chat with the kids. And they ask us questions about, why we're on the board, what we do. We ended up talking about hiking at some point. They talked about the things that they like about Next, how it makes it different from Pinkerton. It was a nice experience, and I look forward to, if I have the availability, to go back again and do that. So that's an update from Next.
All right.
And I just wanted to... Is it on now? I just wanted to add one thing. The Sound of Music is this Friday and Saturday, and it's at Pinkerton. It's at Pinkerton, right? Yeah. So I'm pretty excited. A lot of my granddaughter's friends are going to be in it because she goes to Hood School. So get your tickets.
Yep, Hood always puts on a great show. So if you're able to go, that's something to do this weekend.
I got one more thing, Michael.
Sure.
Okay. The Derry School Board had their quarterly meeting with the Pinkerton Board of Trustees last Thursday. So that's a Thursday evening dinner meeting. It's really like a collegial time for us to meet with the sending town school boards and the Pinkerton Board of Trustees, hear about what's happening at Pinkerton. That night they put on a presentation about AI in the classroom at Pinkerton, which kind of blew my mind. That was very educational to me. So it was good to hear what was going on there. And Derek Lee also, Derek Lee's the Dean of Studies there. He presented some academic data regarding their course selection, information that was coming out recently, and as well as their graduation rates, things like that, all very relative to the work that's being done at the Sending Town School Board. So appreciate being invited to that. And as always, the Pinkerton Culinary kids put on a great meal. So it's always a great time. And it's nice for us as a board. We don't often get out together. It's not good for us to be a quorum outside of this room. So it's rare for us to be in a dinner setting together. So it's a nice time to have some professional time with our colleagues as well.
All right. Sure.
I actually just want to go back to the retirements and say thank you to our retirees for what they've given to our district and the years of service that they've given, and wish them well in their retirement. Don't want to not acknowledge them.
Thank you, everybody. If we have no further updates, our upcoming meeting schedule, as I said, we have the deliberative session Saturday, February 7th at 10 a.m. in the West Running Brook Intermediate School Gymnasium. Our next two regular meetings will be Tuesday, February 10th and Monday, March 9th, both at 6:30 p.m. here at the Municipal Center. Those are the last two meetings before the voting day on Tuesday, March 10th. We have no need for a non-public session tonight, so if there is no further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
First by Jason, second by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Good night, everybody, and I expect to see all of you at the deliberative session on February 7th.